Hi, and welcome to another working interview. Today I'm at Will Kerns' house where we're going to be working on this amazing Rocky Mountain Juniper behind us. He has lovingly dubbed it the Dragon. Will, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, Will Kerns. I've been doing bonsai since 1999. I'm a bonsai hobbyist. I've been doing it a long time and I've been studying under some really great people and I practice it at a high level, but I'm not really a professional. I'm just a hobbyist, but I love bonsai and today we're going to be doing some fine wiring, getting this tree that I call the Dragon um, ready for the Pacific Bonsai Expo in Oakland. That's at the end of this month. So it'll be October 26th, 2024. Today is October 2nd. So we're just doing some fine wiring today.
All right, Will. So, how long have you been doing bonsai?
So I started doing bonsai in 1999. Um, and it happened because I had always been interested in plants. My mom raised me kind of always growing gardens
Hmm.
and having flower gardens and vegetable gardens. And then I went to college and I didn't really realize it, but I was missing plants in my life and gardening. So one day, I was in a dorm room that we shared a bathroom with another dorm room.
Right.
So it was like a suite.
Okay.
And one day my suite mate, Sean, went and saw Harold Sasaki, a local bonsai sensei. And this is the same sensei that Todd started under and Ryan started under as well. Um, so
He's a great guy.
yeah, so my roommate Sean, my suite mate, brought back a bonsai from Harold's and a coffee table book by Herb Gustafson called The Bonsai Workshop. I saw the tree and I read that coffee table book cover to cover. And I said, this is it. This is what I've been missing. Not only is it plants, but it's making art, it's making sculpture, it's building something, which really spoke to me. And
Absolutely.
and I went down and started studying with Harold. And I would go and during college, I would make the drive down about an hour each way, and on weekends I would apprentice for Harold. And I started learning bonsai that way. That's around the same time that Todd was studying with Harold and Ryan Neal was studying with Harold. So Harold started all three of us.
That's exciting. I didn't realize he had been teaching that long.
Yeah, Harold's been doing it for a long time. Harold started learning about bonsai, I think, in Hawaii growing up. I think he had a little bit of exposure to it. But then Harold Sasaki went to CSU, Colorado State University, and I think he started studying forestry and started getting a little more into bonsai and the Rocky Mountain Bonsai Society and bonsai in Colorado as a forest ranger.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, so um,
Not a path I would have thought about.
yeah, it's just kind of fun. And, you know, so was studying with Harold for a long time. Um, this was before Todd went professional,
Hmm.
and Todd Schlafer, I'm talking about.
Were you studying down there at the same time as Todd and Ryan Neal?
So I knew Todd and I knew of Ryan, but I had never met Ryan.
Okay.
Ryan and I never crossed paths. We were apprenticing for Harold during like different periods slightly. So I had never met Ryan, but Harold kept telling me about this kid Ryan who um you know wants to study in Japan and has aspirations of being
Going pro.
yeah, being a professional bonsai artist. And I would hear about Ryan through Harold and what Ryan was doing, talking to Ben Oki, talking to and then eventually, studying under Master Kimura.
Right.
So once Ryan got released from his apprenticeship, I think that was in 2011. Ryan came to the American Bonsai Society's conference, national conference. This is one that we hosted in Denver, and so I signed up for a Ryan Neal workshop, and that in 2012 is when I first met Ryan. We put together a tree, and we got along really well. We discovered that we had all these things in common, and so Ryan and Todd at that point had already done a year at Bonsai Mirai,
Okay.
and then Todd and Ryan were Todd was basically like, Will, you got to come out and study at Mirai. After Ryan met me, he was basically like, Will, come out and let's teach you bonsai at Mirai. So
Awesome.
I started studying at Bonsai Mirai, I think in 2013
That
was
was
my first year there.
that was around the time everything was getting going at Mirai, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's pretty
So I was
exciting.
part of his second year teaching classes there, and I've been studying there ever since.
Good for you.
So yeah, it's been fun. It's been good. I've learned a lot.
Hmm.
This tree that we're working on was my senior thesis at Mirai as a 4-year student.
Okay.
So yeah, so like I purchased this tree from Randy as wild collected stock in probably, I guess, 2013, and with the intention of turning the tree into a bonsai during my 4th year as a student at Mirai.
Good.
So
So you've had this 11 years then, a decade?
yeah, I guess so. Boy,
It's beautiful. How many times have you worked on this tree in that time?
this will be the 3rd time I've wired it.
Third time?
And
Nice.
all I'm doing this time is taking off old tertiary wiring and doing the fine wiring and tertiary work. The structure is still set. And in fact, some of the structural wire is still original from the first time I wired it. It
Oh,
still hasn't gotten ingrown. Juniper grows pretty slowly, so you know, some of the structural, like I've been cutting it off as needed, but
hmm,
it's
that's
it's still
exciting.
doing its job. It's Some of it's not ready to even come off yet.
Yeah, that's.
Some of it is. Like I can see that's kind of getting ingrown, but it'll have to wait until after the expo.
Oh no, it was right side up. Okay. Don't overthink it.
Bonsai is really hard. It's I still kill trees. I've been doing bonsai a long time and I still kill trees. Seems like every winter.
What are some of your favorite trees to work on?
I love Rocky Mountain Juniper,
Absolutely.
and I think Rocky Mountain Juniper is the king of American bonsai because of its sculptural deadwood. Um, I started at Mirai as a juniper student,
Okay.
and so it was the first species that I learned to work. Like, let's start with the hardest. Let's start with the hardest tree species to do bonsai on, and uh,
Yeah.
and uh, and we'll just have Ryan help us. So it worked out, and
Good.
I specialize in Colorado natives. I live here in Colorado, in Wheat Ridge, Colorado. Um, so I try to grow bonsai with species that
Will thrive in our
thrive here.
environment.
Yeah, that thrive here.
That's the
That
trick.
yeah, that naturally grow here, that are abundant. If a tree dies, I can go and dig up another one, or I can go to the nursery and find a spruce
Right.
or whatever. But
So you touched on collecting trees, go and find one.
uh-huh.
Um, could you share some of your thoughts on what ethically collecting looks like?
So I collect trees with a permit from the National Forest Service. And that to me, like, if you're going to collect a tree, you should have a permit or you should have permission from a private landowner to do it. Um, I'm really lucky. My parents used to live in Conifer, Colorado, and had a big parcel of land
Hmm.
that had trees on it. So I was able to collect trees out of there. I was able to talk to the neighbors in the neighborhood who knew that I'm a bonsai artist that was looking for trees, and they would let me go collect on their land. So
Oh,
yeah, I've been
awesome.
really lucky to either use permits or collect with permission.
Yeah.
This tree was collected by Randy Knight. This was collected out of Wyoming with a transplant permit. And the part of the tree that we are looking at is the used to be the top of the tree in the wild.
Oh, okay. So it was
So
more of a
yeah,
shrub
it
in the
was
ground.
more low growing. This was the top of the tree, and it has this big dead wood snag that I'm sitting in front of.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah, and then at Mirai, we learn to maximize the drama in a tree. And to find the most drama in this tree meant um, tipping it up and making it more vertical in nature. Um, so that's what we did with this thing, and this tree has just been a prolific grower. It's very healthy. It's very happy. Um, I it has so much dead wood that it's a challenge to overwinter it
I'm sure.
because this tree can't go down into like a garden box. It's hard to mulch it in. So what I do is this tree is actually sitting on a piece of styrofoam with a heating element in there, and a little computer that doesn't let it go below about 65 degrees in the winter. So the roots stay warm in the winter, but the foliage all gets snowed on and goes cold. So that's
That's
how I overwinter this thing.
that's pretty interesting. I didn't realize you could keep roots that warm through the winter. I thought they wanted to get cold.
I thought so too, but this thing loves having warm roots in the winter.
Okay. I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and I've been successful in wintering this thing for a few winters now. I actually it's been like 11 winters.
It's ridiculous.
So it's happy. It's doing it.
So are you from here in Colorado?
I'm originally from Wisconsin. I've lived in Colorado for 33 years. I moved out here when I was about 12, and then I grew up in Evergreen, which is just up in the hills here,
Hmm.
and and that really exposed me to trees growing in the mountains, and it really inspired me. Seeing those trees inspired me growing in the mountains. So that might have been some of my inspiration for bonsai.
It's awesome. Um, what do you do in your day-to-day job?
My day-to-day job is roofing, siding, gutters, basically exterior construction projects.
Oh, okay.
I sell exterior construction projects, mostly roofing. Fortunately, roofing kind of sells itself in Colorado.
Right.
I mean, everybody
It's a
here
need.
needs a roof. The roofs get hit so hard with sun and
Mhm.
hail and wind here that everybody pretty much needs a roof. So yeah, I sell roofs and I
That's
like it. I just started doing it this year. Started in February. Before that, I was a city planner and a transportation planner.
Oh, that's
But I had
exciting.
done that for 23 years and I got sick of it. And I was just over it. After 23 years of doing something,
You
like,
deserve a change of pace.
yeah, I was sick of studying roads and traffic. And like, I don't know, I was sick of the whole thing. I'd done it for too long. I was burned out on it. So now I'm doing sales. I like it a lot. I'm good at it.
Awesome.
I like
And I'm
helping
sure you get to
people.
bring home a little more doing sales.
We'll see.
We'll
This
see.
is my first year doing it, so I'm paying the learning penalty.
Yep.
But yes, I will be able to make a good living doing it. And for me, it's not really about the money as much as it is like allowing me the time and freedom to study at Todd's,
Hmm.
at First Branch Academy, to study at Bonsai Mirai, to pursue and build nice bonsai compositions and like live my life comfortably.
Yeah.
That's all I can ask for.
Good for you. It sounds like you're right where you should be.
Yeah.
Um, do you have family here?
Yeah. Well, okay, I used to. So my family was in Conifer,
Okay.
and we I moved down here after college
Okay.
and got a job, and then my brother went to college in Durango at Fort Lewis. He still lives in Durango. And
Okay.
then my parents, they moved from Evergreen to Conifer while I was in college,
Have been
and
there
then
since.
they lived there until recently, and they sold their place in Conifer because they were sick of the winters, and they recently moved to Rio Rancho, New Mexico, and
Yeah,
they love it there.
I can totally respect that. The winters get brutal here.
Yeah,
I'm a
especially up there.
Yeah.
They were living in a glacier, like they had a glacier all winter. So
Yeah, some of those mountain homes will hold on to snow surprisingly long.
yeah, so they got sick of it, and they wanted to move somewhere that the cost of living is a little lower, um and it's warmer. And they
Absolutely.
found it down in New Mexico. They built a great place down there, and frankly they sold a great place here that I miss, but it's okay.
Uh,
They were ready to move on. So
Understandable. What kind of music do you like to listen to?
I listen to pretty much everything. Today we were listening to I was listening to some reggae, some Sublime, like a kind of a beachy reggae mix.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I listened to hip hop. I listened to rock and roll, some metal, whatever, electronic,
Whatever strikes your
pretty
fancy.
much like anything. Like I'll listen to Western country or Western if I'm in the mood, but I don't typically listen to that.
That's fair.
But like,
Uh,
if I can go to a Coulter Wall show or, um, Morgan Wallen, or I don't know, some of these country guys put out, like
yeah, they just have a good
if
set
the
when
mood
they.
strikes, I'll listen to it. But typically I'm more rock and roll, hip hop,
Absolutely.
or like reggae or electronic chill, like down tempo stuff, whatever. Everything.
Everything. Love it. Sorry, I'm trying to follow some of this fine wire and it's so close together. I think I just have to redo this whole pad.
Let's see. Um,
Yeah, sorry. Um,
so let's see. Bonsai. I grow I grow coniferous bonsai and deciduous bonsai. I've been
okay.
recently trying to focus a little bit more on deciduous
Hmm.
because our club, the Rocky Mountain Bonsai Society, is so conifer heavy
It really is.
that like when I come into the show, like I showed 3 trees this year. One was a spruce, but two were deciduous. One is a New Mexican privet that I really love, and then the other one is a cork bark elm. So
Mm.
I've been trying to focus a little bit more on some deciduous stuff because frankly it's kind of rare in Colorado.
It is. Is there anything that you would go out of your way to get your hands on, like deciduous
Right
wise?
now I'm in the process of downsizing some of my collection.
That is fair.
Um, these big trees, they're great. They're also a pain in the butt because they're hard to move. They're um, they take a lot of work. Like I've already spent multiple days just fine wiring this. Um, so
Yeah,
it's
it can be daunting.
it can be. And so I'm at the point where I'm not really bringing a whole lot of new stuff in. If I do bring something new in, I try to bring in something better than I already have.
Yeah.
And
And that gets harder the
that
longer
gets
you've been in the
harder.
hobby.
That gets harder, especially because I have some amazing stuff. So like I have to be real picky. Okay. So we were just doing some fine wiring. I was just critiquing Jamie's work a little bit. Um, And when we're wiring, we're always using two hands. We have the lead hand, which operates at the tip of the wire, and we have the support hand, which is, while you're putting the wire on and gaining structural advantage. In this case, I'm gaining structural advantage by wrapping it around twice around a piece of structural wire and getting that good anchor before I move out to the branch. Okay, and then my support once it's anchored on to that structural wire, then my support hand can move out and follow the wire out. And then I move on to a different branch. My lead hand is giving leverage to the wire as my support hand is kind of pinching the wire onto the branch. Not too hard because I could with a branch this light, I could pinch right through it. And so this is what? This is like 18 gauge wire, I believe.
Mhm.
Um, which is one of the lightest you go. So what I did here, it's not the best looking, but it gains me structural advantage. I actually wrapped the support, the structural wire twice. Now then I moved out onto this tiny little delicate branch. And using my support hand, I pinched it on gently. And then when I get out to the tip of the branch, I actually make like a little kind of hockey paddle
Right.
is is what
Great way to describe it.
that just sort of whoops, let's see if I can even do it. There we go.
That's what you get for trying to show off.
Yeah. So what the hockey paddle does is it's just a little bit of tail on the wire that helps bring those juniper tips up, and it helps me support one of these little branches without having to wire that branch. Okay.
Beautiful.
And look, now the pad is starting to come together. I still have
Gorgeous.
this thing. Let's see. Still have this. That I can kind of lay it on that and maybe get by without wiring this little guy. We'll see. So yeah, practice wiring, invest in good tools, invest in going to real workshops, studying with real bonsai professionals. And like if you can get out to a workshop once a year or twice a year, that's really good. Like if you can get out and study with Todd at First Branch Academy once or twice a year,
Yeah. We're
awesome.
obviously a little biased, but
We're biased. Oh well.
all right. Well, thank you so much for having me out
Thanks, Jamie.
tonight. It
Thanks for the
was
help.
crazy exciting to get to work on this tree with you.
This is a fun treat. I'm glad we did this. This just happened. This interview happened during a perfect time because it's like I'm show prepping this tree for the Pacific Bonsai Expo, and it's gonna be there. Come see it in person in Oakland. I think it's October 26th,
That
2024.
sounds right. I'm pretty sure
Are you
that's
gonna
right.
go?
No, but I'll be
Okay.
watching the garden at First
Oh
Branch.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Oh yeah, you've got
I
responsibilities.
do.